Hi everyone, it's Deb with iClimb, and today we're going to work on balance, foot ankle mobility. We're going to work on getting those hips open, and once again we're going to work on getting the upper and the lower body to connect with each other. One of the things I've realized with a lot of my clients lately is, and again, it's not just Parkinson's, is the upper and the lower body don't connect with one another. And if you stop and think about it, it doesn't take much thought to think about, to realize that's going to affect your gait. That's definitely going to affect your balance. So I'm always trying to make sure that the upper and the lower body know how to connect with each other. One of the most important things is to know where your weight distribution is. So the first one we're going to do is heel drops. I highly recommend that you put your hands on a countertop, the back of a chair, something of that nature. Feet are forward. Again, hip joint distance apart. All right. So you're here and you're just placing, you're not death gripping. And what I want you to do, and this is easier said than done, you're going to twice drop your weight into your heels and then stop. So drop, drop, and then stop. Drop, drop, and then stop. And you're going to keep doing that. What you're going to notice is your weight will shift back to your heels where it should be. The other thing that a lot of you will notice is you feel it in your low back, and here's why. If you've got one hip that's higher than the other, as you double drop, and a lot of you that's going to be a challenge by itself because your weight's in the balls of your feet, that's going to shift. So whatever hip is higher, that's going to help drop that down. So what you'll start to notice is what I was feeling in my low back, I don't anymore. Or it's diminished. Drop, drop, and stop. And I highly recommend you do this every day. This one's not rocket science. Brushing your teeth, standing at the kitchen sink, whatever, just do those heel drops. I had a pastor that said he couldn't stand still because his back hurt, so this is what he used to fidget while he was preaching. But it works. Drop, drop, and then you're going to stop. And again, in terms of how many times you do it in the beginning, I guarantee you it'll take a while because most of you won't even feel the weight in your heels because you're so forward weight bearing. Get used to dropping, double dropping, 1, 2, and then stop. And again, you'll notice, that's why I want you to hang on to something, because most of you are here, you'll feel yourself and your weight coming back into your heels as it should be. So drop, drop, and then stop. And for those of you who have issues with hammer toes or your toes don't want to move well, I think it's a good idea that once you stop, wiggle your toes. Get them to move because they're important in gait. So drop, drop, and then stop and wiggle your toes. And drop, drop, and then wiggle your toes. And again, you're going to do that until you feel that right and left is even, whatever tightness that might have been in low back is gone, that you've got that weight even in both feet. All right? And again, heel drops. Very simple, but has a big impact. Then you're going to go to inline gluteals. I use these all the time. This takes out rotation, foot ankle mobility, works for balance. In this case, I'm going to place my left foot. It has to be forward. It has to be in line. The toes, the second and third toe have got to be in line with the hip. As soon as I turn the foot, I turn the hip. It has to be straight. Besides that, I want that knee to be straight. Some of you, your knee issues are because of your foot issues. And you stand, and so this tightens all this up, and now it pulls your patella to the lateral side. I'm going to place my foot forward. Toes are open, weight distribution even. Then I'm going to take my right foot, and now I've got heel to toe. And again, toes are open. I'm not gripping. Make sure you're not doing that. And their tendency for a lot of you, you're going to feel a lot of foot ankle mobility here. Open those toes, ground yourself, head up, arms at your side. Again, in the beginning, you may want to put a hand on a chair, but don't death grip it. The goal is to get the torso, the core muscles literally, to work so that you don't have to hold on to anything. Again, this is a balance exercise as well. So now, without using your quads or your low abdominals, quads are engaged only to keep your legs in extension, but what you're going to do is to engage your glutes. So squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Again, you don't want to feel your quads doing this, only the glutes. And for a lot of you, it may take a while because in posterior tilt, which is where a lot of you are, in other words, your hips are in front of your ankles, it shuts all this down. It takes some time to get those to fire. Your glutes and your paraspinal should be the strongest muscles that you have. And unfortunately, for a lot of you, those are your weakest. So we're going to make sure that you're engaging those paraspinals by being upright, and we're going to squeeze and release on the glutes. A lot of you are going to feel a pull in your hips. That's perfectly fine. It's taking out the rotation. You may feel this in your low back. Again, that's okay. It's taking out some of that rotation. Pay attention to what you're feeling in your feet, because a lot of you are going to have a really tough time keeping your feet still. Again, that's a good thing. In other words, you're trying to gain some mobility and stability in the feet and ankles. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. And again, you cannot do too many of these. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Now, for a lot of you, you're going to notice that one side's harder than the other. So what I recommend is you do the harder side first, and you won't know that until you try. And then do the other side, and then come back and do the harder side again, because you'll always notice a difference. You may feel this in your knee. Again, there's some adjustments being made there. So we're going to squeeze, release. We're going to do 5 more. We're going to do 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then we're going to switch. Now, some of you are going to feel like you need a break because you feel those muscles contracting. What you're feeling through here is those muscles in stability mode. In other words, it's an isometric contraction to hold that musculoskeletal system in place. That's stability. That's what you want. But if you need to take a break, walk around, do that, but come back, and now you're just going to switch sides. So now I'm going to put that right foot forward. Again, toes are open, weight distribution even, and I'm going to put the left in front. Hand on the chair if you need to, all right? Again, your goal is not to be able to need that. And you're going to squeeze, release, only the glutes. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Head is up, arms are at your side. Now, with this one, there's a lot of this going on. And here's what you need to know to correct that. So if you feel your torso wants to lean to the right, stabilize underneath the left shoulder. So around the inside and bottom of that shoulder blade, bring it down. If you're leaning to the left, stabilize the right shoulder. Okay, it's the opposite side. And you're going to squeeze, release, because everything belongs in center. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Keep the toes open, weight distribution even. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. And again, I would say do no less than 20. These are really important, and they carry a lot of weight. In other words, they're big on multitasking, and they do a lot of different things. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release, and I know a lot of you, balance is an issue. This will definitely help that. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release, and I'm going to do 5 more. But again, I suggest you do at least 15 to 20. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so then I'm going to move the chair. In the last 2 parts of this sequence, I'm sitting. So one of the things that, without question, is a problem is the group of muscles underneath the glutes that run this way. You have 5, and they're all attached at the femur, but 5 of them are supposed to externally rotate the femur. A lot of you guys have problem with engaging that. You're way too tight here, which also has pelvic floor issues as well, because things are tight. So what we're going to do is to get those muscles to contract, to engage. And I can do that simply by rolling over onto the sides of my feet. and then bring it back. And I'm going to roll it open. And I'm going to bring it back and roll it open. This position by itself will do that. Here's the other thing you're getting. A lot of you have issues with what's called pronation. In other words, your ankles are collapsing at midline. As you roll over on the sides of your feet, you're changing that. Now you're stretching out what gets tight over here by rolling over into the sides of your feet. So notice that this will also help your foot ankle mobility. Keep your toes from gripping, all right? And you're going to close it up and you're going to open it. Now, I suggest that after you do maybe 12, 15, whatever, widen your feet a little bit. Now it's going to take a little more effort to bring it in, and here's why I'm saying that. A lot of you, men in particular, tend to be out here, so when you sit, you're here. That means these are weak, these are too tight. So that be the case, widen your feet a little bit, make those adductors work a little harder. So you're going to squeeze and you're going to open, and you're going to hold that, and you're going to squeeze and you're going to open. You need those muscles to get in and out of the car, to step up and over something, to get in and out of the shower. They are imperative. And you've got to be able to engage them. This is a good way to do this. You can lay on your back and do this very same thing. I have my mom do this every morning before she gets out of bed, and she says it really helps. And plus, it relieves her low back pain, because when those muscles are engaging, those paraspinals that take over get to loosen up. And you're going to squeeze and you're going to open. And if you notice, again, the more that I go to thoracic or lumbar extension, in other words, my belly button forward, I'm in that anterior tilt, my shoulders kind of want to play along. So now we're going to add that. So we're going to squeeze and we're going to open the shoulders. We're getting the upper and the lower body to connect. Everything in the torso is an extension. We're going to close. We're not going to round the shoulders, we're just going to relax them. And then as you open the hips, we're going to open the shoulders. Head is up. Don't pull it forward. Bring it back together and open and squeeze and open and squeeze and open and squeeze and open. A lot of you are going to have tightness on inner thigh and in the groin. This is a great way to stretch that. What I always say is I want you to feel it more on the primary movers and not what's not supposed to be tight. So in this case, if you're feeling tightness here, the more you do, I want you to feel it underneath your glute and less tightness here. So squeeze, open the knees, open the shoulders. Again, goals are increased range of motion, reduce tightness, and fluidity of movement. Those should always be your goals no matter what you're doing. And let's do 5 more. Let's close and open. And again, we're going to hold that, let your body know what extension feels like. And close and open and close and open. And 2 more. We're going to close and open, and we're going to close and open. All right, guys, that's your sequence for today, and come back and join us soon. Look forward to seeing you.